Hello, 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 and welcome to my channel. I'm going to be talking to you tonight, because actually it's morning or it's night somewhere. Here in Ghana, it is after midnight. It is 12:17 a.m. I should really be going to sleep, but I wanted to go live. I'm sure that I have people who are in the US, in Canada, different time zone who can watch this live stream. It is Sunday evening, and I just wanted to talk about video that I had done about a week ago that has really gone quite far. It has been my most watched video in the last couple of months, and I was actually surprised because I didn't think that many people were going to be interested in that topic. But at the same time, I did that video because there were so many people who had been reaching out to me after noticing that there are diaspora people who'd been leaving Ghana. And yes, I also noticed the same thing, that there are diaspora people who are leaving Ghana within 2 years. But as someone in the comment section pointed out recently, they said, well, now that you've told us the reasons people leave, what are the reasons that people stay? And so tonight, I want to talk to you about the reasons that people stay. When the diaspora comes to Ghana, not everybody is leaving. Yes, there are people who leave, but trust me, there are a lot more who actually stay. And the reality is, as human beings, we gravitate towards the negative news before the positive news. I remember the first time I realized that human beings like negative stories over positive stories. It was in 2008. I was doing my internship at NBC in Detroit, WDIV Local 4. If you are from Detroit, the Detroit area or Windsor area, you probably know that TV station I'm talking about. And I remember doing my internship in the newsroom, and this was an internship that was unlike any other, because I knew people who were doing internships and they were being asked to just grab coffee for people, do little errands, and they didn't really get to get hands-on experience. I got to get hands-on experience. And I will never forget the day when our news director was looking at all the TV screens. There was probably like 30 screens on the wall, and she was watching each one of those screens, going between TV stations and trying to see which TV station got a news story before ours did, trying to see which news it is that people were interested in watching. And the reality is, like they say in the news industry, if it bleeds, it leads. If it bleeds, it leads. And that's basically saying that people like to watch bad news. People like to see the negative. So the negative draws more attention than the positive most of the time. Yes, there's positive stories that do gain traction and do have people watching, of course. But traditionally in the news industry, news media, newspapers, now the internet, people love negative news. They love to share negative information, and they will join in the train in the comment section of negative information. So that story that I did when I gave you, the top reasons why I feel that people are leaving when they leave Ghana, the diaspora, a lot of people, it resonated with you. A lot of people, commented. A lot of people liked that video and shared it. I had people who hadn't watched my videos in months tell me they watched that video. And so today I want to talk about the positive stories, and I wonder how many of you will watch when I'm talking about the positive, the reason people stay in Ghana and in other African countries. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. Those of you who are here, I know this is not a time that I usually go live. It is after midnight in Ghana, which is a time that I should actually be sleeping. And but I do know that I do have an audience in the US and in Canada, and your time zone. This is like perfect time for you. It's the evening. And I just wanted to pop in here and talk about why people stay. So tell me where you're here from, where you're watching, where in the world are you? Drop it in the comment section. Let me know where you are. I would love to know. Um, it is Winston is watching from the UK. Oh, Winston, so you're up late because the UK is an hour ahead. You're on British summertime, so it's like after 1 over there. Thank you for tuning in at this time. I appreciate you for watching. I'm going to share, as I said, I'm going to talk about the positives, why people stay. Yes, should be sleeping. Yeah, me too. I should be sleeping. So, you know, one of the reasons why people do stay is they come with a purpose. So when they come with a purpose, they're driven to move forward. They're driven to just keep on moving and keep doing what it is that they do. So I'll give you an example. Myself, there have been times that I want to pack up and leave because the things are frustrating. Some of the systems are challenging, but then I remember purpose. And purpose for me is being a part of changing the narrative of Africa, as well as changing the lives of young people through conversations that I have with them day to day. People I come across at events, on the street, in a restaurant, wherever it may be. I like to have conversations with young people where I can share information or share something that they can use as a tool in their life. I prefer that, being able to do that for young people here, because some of them don't have exposure in the same way as somebody who's living in Canada that may have had exposure, somebody in the US that may have had exposure. So I like to have these conversations, and I feel that that's part of my purpose. And so when you have purpose, you know that you have something to hang on to and keep on moving forward. Another person I can think of from the diaspora who came to Ghana are Tony and Io Jones from Expat Life Ghana. They also came with a purpose. They moved from the US, from Texas to Ghana, and they've made it their mission to document their journey and share their journey with all of you. And they've made it their mission to have a life in Ghana. And so with them having a purpose of wanting to make a life here and wanting to share their journey with all of you, it keeps them going as well. So when you have a purpose, it keeps your drive going. Whether you choose Ghana or you choose another country, if you have purpose, it keeps you going. Because I also know people who've moved to other countries and then they decided it wasn't for them and they've left. They maybe have gone to explore. They didn't really have a focused goal. And then it makes it easy for you to say, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm out of here. So having a purpose is so, so important. If you're joining the live stream, please do let me know where you're joining from. So far, we have Winston here. Hopefully, Winston's able to hang in there with me because we both should be sleeping. Winston is in the UK. I'm here in Ghana. It's 12:25 a.m. here. And I'm just sharing with you reasons why the diaspora stay in Ghana. The next one is people who are flexible and willing to adapt. Those who are flexible and willing to adapt are people who are able to make it in Ghana and make the decision to stay. So it is a place that there's a lot of challenges. So you have to be willing to adapt. You have to have that adaptability within you to be able to continue going. So if you have purpose, you know that you're willing to adapt, because in order to reach your goal through your purpose, you know that you have to adapt. You have to be flexible to things, because you're coming to a new country. It's not going to be the same as where you came from. So it's very important to remember that, because you've left where you are and this is a new place and you have to adapt. Just like somebody who leaves their country to come to yours has to learn to adapt to certain ways that things are done in order for them to be able to make it. The other reason why people make it is they have a sense of belonging. People who are able to build a sense of community are able to have a sense of belonging. And then that is a reason why they're able to stay, because they may have felt like they didn't belong where they were coming from and they were looking for something new. So when they're able to cultivate relationships and friendships, build a community, it makes it a little bit easier for you to feel like you belong. And that makes it easier to stay. Because I know that there are some people that when they come, they say they feel a little bit alienated. They feel like they don't feel like they're being really, truly welcomed into people's communities. But when you show that you're willing to adapt, you show that you're willing to build community, it's easier for you to be able to make it. So let me just go to the comment section. TR Israelite says, just got my passport, coming to Ghana to build and make a life for others who want to return to the ancestral land. Thank you so much for sharing. Gary Houston, hello, Ivy. I'm Gary, Ghanaian based in Maryland. Thanks for representing. You're most welcome. Thank you for watching. I can't wait to complete my project and move back home. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, so when you have a purpose or a vision, it makes it a little bit easier rather than when you just come and you don't have any kind of plan when you're coming to Ghana. So it's very, very important that you are able to have that you have a purpose. You're able to be flexible and adapt and know that you'll make it. You will make it. The other reason why people stay is they already have money and they're looking for investment opportunities. I'll give you an example. Neil Oku, he left his Wall Street job to come to Ghana. And obviously, if you work on Wall Street, you make a pretty good living. So he was able to leave his job on Wall Street, come to Ghana and build a business in real estate. So he had a vision. He could see the potential opportunity for growth and development in Ghana. And so he came. There's a picture that I have. I should probably show it to you, but there's a picture that shows Ghana in the 1990s. And then Ghana, it was 2018 is when the picture was taken. And that is a perfect example of how the growth and development of Ghana has changed over the years. I'm trying to see if I can show you that picture. I want to show it to you on the screen because it's one of those things where it's like you have to have the long-term vision to see. So 2 years, the time that in my last video I said people usually leave Ghana, is not enough time. It's not enough time for you to really build. It's not enough time for you to really grow. I feel like 2 years is really the mark where you are just getting your footing in Ghana. You are just getting your footing. You've just cultivated relationships. You've just been able to, find a place, whatever it may be. I feel like 2 years is the amount of time that you need to really adjust to Ghana, to really learn and to really build community and build relationship. So 5 years is a good amount of time for you to get your proper footing if you've started a business. And that's the case anywhere in the world. When you start a business, they usually say businesses fail within the first couple of years. If you can pass that 5-year mark, it usually means you're doing pretty good and you're finally going to break even and start moving towards making profits. Because I think one of the challenges is people come and then they expect that right away they're going to be making a lot of money. It's going to be a quick and easy road. But anytime you start a business, you have to know you're going to probably be losing money in the first little while. So here's the image I wanted to show you. This is the image I wanted to show you and to prove why you have to have the long-term vision when it comes to investing and building a business in places like Ghana and anywhere in the world, actually. But for Ghana specifically, I just want to show you this because you have to have the long-term vision. This is an image on the top. You can see the Accra airport area in the 1990s. Look, there's lots of there's like little trees and bushes. There's hardly anything there. And right below is a picture of Accra airport area. This picture was taken in 2018. It still looks very similar now. There's even a couple of more buildings there now. But the 1990s to 2018, you really have to have a vision of long-term growth. Not, I built it today and I'm making a million tomorrow, but long-term growth, the long and steady race, usually is the winner. It's a marathon. It's a marathon. And I'm showing this because I want people to see the people who invested in this land and built these properties. Those people are millionaires now. These people are millionaires now. They got this land. They built these, like, they're millionaires now, these people. And I know people who invested in land in Ghana in the 90s and in the 2000s, and now their land is worth so much. Even people who invested in 2011, 2012, and we're now in 2025, who saw the exponential growth in the value of their land and their properties. So if you decide to come to Ghana, it's very important that you know that you have to be in it for the long haul if you want to be successful. But if you find that you're coming and you decide, hey, it's not for me, it's not for you, and you leave. But I just want to show you that just this image, this visual is evidence of the potential of a country like Ghana for the growth, because I can only imagine what it'll be like in 10 years from now, 10 to 20 years. It's going to be, even more change that we're going to continue to see, even more growth we're going to continue to see. Thank you so much, Kofi, for joining this live stream. Kofi says, make sure you are watching this live stream right now. Click on the like button and subscribe and donate to this channel. Thank you so much. Call all your friends and family members. Tell them to come and watch and listen to what's going on in Ghana live with Ivy, beautiful Queen Ivy. Thank you. Share this live stream on all your social media right now. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So as I was saying, I'm talking about the reasons why people stay, reasons why the diaspora stay. I think about people like Diallo Sumbri. Diallo Sumbri is somebody who came to Ghana and he's been able to cultivate community. I interviewed him on my channel. He became a development chief in the Eastern region. He's an example of somebody who ventured out of Accra to do something, because a lot of times people want to stay in Greater Accra and it can become choked, it can become challenging. So sometimes it's best to venture out. I also met a young man who has started a honey company. He's got a bee farm. He's raising bees to do his honey. He moved from the US to Ghana and he's making honey. And we know that there's a lot of honey being sold in the US and Canada and different places that a lot of it is not fully pure. There's like corn syrup and fructose and all this stuff that's been added to it. But his is pure honey, pure, raw, natural honey. So he's come to Ghana and he has started a honey business. And that is what he's working on. He did not do this in Accra. He is in another region working on this. And that's an example of somebody who's come and is building his business. And because he has that purpose, he will stick it out for the long game because he knows what he is doing and why he is doing it. So that's another example. There's also Dawn Dixon that I interviewed on my channel a few months ago. She has invested in land in Rwanda and in Ghana. It's okay to diversify. It doesn't have to be all in one country. She's invested in land in Rwanda. She's invested in property building in Ghana. And so that's an example of, if you've come from the US and let's say you have a little bit of a cushion, you have a little bit of money, to invest it when you're here in something that you see potential growth in. So that's another example. There's people who are planning. So you plan well. The man who started the university, Ashesi University, He was working with Microsoft in the US. He was doing all kinds of work in the tech industry. And then he had this vision to transform education in Ghana. He ended up moving to Ghana and built and started his school, Ashesi University. And now Ashesi University is one of the most innovative universities in Ghana and in West Africa. The students that come out of that school, their minds are just, they're brilliant, and they see the world differently. They have a different approach to how they do things. So that's another example of somebody who had a vision. He had a vision to transform education and came and he's done it. So it's very important that you have a plan and have a vision, because the diaspora who do are the ones who stay. They have a purpose, they have a vision, they're resilient, and they understand that there are challenges along the way that you have to keep moving through in order to get to where you need to be. Having that long-term commitment is key. That's another reason why some people will stay, because they've got it in their mind that they have a long-term commitment that they've made to do this. And so they're doing it because they're here, as I've been saying throughout. They know that success takes time. And I want you to also know that not all success stories are publicized, because we hear a lot about the ones who are leaving, but we're not hearing about all the stories of the people who are staying, because there are a lot of people who are choosing to stay and they're building a life right here in this country and other African countries. They are building a life. Back in 2012, I was feeling the sense of frustration in Ghana. And I remember having a breakdown, and my aunt ended up talking to me about the challenges that she had faced along the way coming to Ghana as well, because she had lived abroad and then moved back. And she talked to me about that too, about the challenges and just being able to see the end. It's like that book. There's a book called Begin with the End in Mind. And I'm trying to remember the name of the author. When you begin with the end in mind and you work backwards, because you have the end goal, you can see the end goal. And then you know that everything you're doing along the way are the steps that you're taking to get to that end goal. So it's very, very important. I want people to know, I just keep reiterating that it takes time. It takes time to get to where you want to be. Let me go back to the comment section. The opportunities are in the bush. Folks must try to move outside Accra and create value using the resources in the environment. Yes, I agree. Kofi is greeting from Pennsylvania. Thank you. Thank you. Gary is seeing the end from the beginning. Yes. It's so very, very important, because that is the way that you're going to be successful. And then knowing it takes a long time. I'm going to give some examples. I made some notes so I don't forget some examples. So Microsoft took 10 to 15 years to actually become a solid success. Apple was successful in its first few years. It was like this innovative boom, boom, became popular. They had this commercial that was shown on TV and it became this huge hit. And then they crashed. They nearly went bankrupt before they turned around in the 2000s, in the early to mid 2000s. So, and they started in, I think it was the late 70s. And so it's a long game. Coca-Cola is like one of the biggest, it's like the biggest beverage companies in the world. It's over 100 years old. It took them 18 years to become a success during their time. 18 years. So I'm just saying these things just to remind everybody that if you're building a business, it's going to take time. Let's talk about Africa. ShopRite. For those of you who live here or who visited here, or maybe through your, excuse me, or maybe through your research online, ShopRite is a grocery store headquartered in South Africa. They originally opened in 1966, and they became an African grocery giant, but it took them decades to get there. It was like the early 2000s before they started spreading outside of South Africa into other African countries. I think Nigeria was the first country they went into. But think about it, from the 60s until the 2000s for them to start becoming international across the continent of Africa. So the end game, the long game, just knowing that the growth is over a period of time. In Ghana, we have Starbites restaurant that I've interviewed the owner on this channel as well. And Starbites restaurant, the owner started it, I think 2010 is when he launched officially. We're in 2025 now, and now it's like a hugely successful chain of restaurants in Ghana. They have locations. I think they have locations in Greater Accra, as well as in, I think, Kumasi. But they have quite a number of locations in the Greater Accra area. So they grew from one location to having, several. And that's over a period of 15 years. It didn't happen overnight. So I just want people to know. And he moved from the UK to Ghana and built this business. So I just want everybody to know that if you're coming to Ghana, it is something that takes time. The stories of people who make it, it's not just like a feel-good moment. I know that we hear the positives. We see videos from a lot of content creators that show when someone's moved here and they've built, a real estate development. They've moved here. They've built a hospital. They've built something. They've done so many different things, and it looks so great. And it seems like they just came and it was easy. But trust me, it was not easy. It's something that took time and took intention. They had intention in doing what they were doing. So it's very, very important that you also have intention when you are building whatever it is you're building when you are coming to Ghana. Now, let me head back to the comment section. Winston Ellis says, it's really important that people understand that you need to come with money to last for 2 to 3 years. Many YouTubers came over telling everyone to come, and after 2 years, they disappear. Yes, I agree. 2 to 3 years is good. A lot of people won't have that much. So it can be discouraging to you. And I think that when Winston says 2 to 3 years, part of that is the fact that when you go and rent, some of these places are asking you for a year of rent up front. Sometimes they're asking for 2 years rent up front. So you've got to have that large chunk of money to make that payment so that you at least have that out of the way, and then you can move on to other things. Tim Black says, greetings from Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you for joining. Sankofa says, I agree. I have a coconut farm, and even though it takes years to grow, it will bring me and my family residual income to stay in Ghana permanently. You have to take your time and build a business. Yes, coconut takes quite a number of years to grow. I heard it's between 6 to 10 years, depending for how long it takes for a coconut tree. But yeah, once he starts bearing the coconuts, he definitely is income that will be coming in because people love coconuts. People drink coconuts every day in Ghana. There's coconuts. So it's definitely a business that you can service the local people for sure. Because that's another thing is sometimes people always think they have to come to Ghana and do something that they're going to export, but you don't always have to do something to export. You can actually find something that works right here within the community here. Tim Black says the Ghanaian government should give support to startups. If not, the Asians will become the merchant class and price locals out. Thank you for sharing that. Another comment. When you first moved to Ghana, what were your limiting beliefs and how did you get over it? Big shouts from Toronto. Thank you, KW. What were my limiting beliefs? Hey, I think it wasn't, I don't know if it was necessarily limiting beliefs, but it was really thinking that I was not going to make it because of the way things were just so different and the way things are slow. I still feel like I have not made it in Ghana. I'm still working. I'm still working at it. It may look like everything is perfect for me and all that stuff, but I'm still having I have my challenges every day. Sometimes you do work with people and especially if you're on a freelance basis, you're independent, you do work and you're chasing payments from contracts. And then sometimes when you haven't been paid, and when I haven't been paid and I need to pay someone else, but I haven't been paid by someone I've done work for. And because I haven't received it, now I'm delayed in paying someone that I'm supposed to also pay. It can really be a challenge, and it's daunting sometimes. And it can be frustrating. So I just have to always put my mind on the end goal of continuing to change the narrative of Africa and changing and impacting the lives of young people. So it's hard. It's not easy. It's definitely hard. So I'm being transparent. It's not easy in Ghana. It's got its challenges, but it has its sense of peace and a sense of feeling like home. I think that's really part of what keeps people here as well. People have that spiritual draw, that spiritual connection, because it seems like a lot of people who come to Ghana, you meet them, and then when you ask them how they feel about Ghana, they say it feels like home. And I think that's a large part of what makes people stay as well. Despite frustrations they may be feeling, they feel like this is a home. Kofi says, we need everyone to click on the like button and subscribe and donate to this channel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Tim Black says, low paid workers. Yes, staff workers can be paid a lot lower here in Ghana. Ivy, this is a good time to come live for us here in the USA. Come live for us. Yeah, because I usually am live earlier because of the time I'm usually going to sleep, because it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning and I usually would be sleeping by now. So yeah, you're welcome. Large palm nut farming and also expatriate should visit the GIPC to find out investment opportunities. In fact, I will encourage. I have said this before. I have said people should go to the Ghana Investment Promotion Center and get information on how they should register business, information on what it is that they need. You can also go to the Ghana Export Promotion Authority if you're looking to export. The Ghana Export Promotion Authority is also a good one to go to if you're looking to export goods to Ghana. That way, it helps you also with knowing what you need to do if you are exporting goods. Let me just put that on the screen. Ghana Export Promotion Authority. For people who may not know about it, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority is one that you can go to if you're exporting your business. And it's actually easier to get into exporting than into registering business here. So with exporting, you would be already a registered business in the country you're coming from, and then you would be coming to Ghana and exporting goods. So that makes it a little bit easier for people who don't have their full status of citizenship or residency to be able to come and export goods, because then it's like you're a company coming to buy product to export to your home country. That's another thing that people do. Yeah, I'm going to put the Ghana Investment Promotion Center on the screen as well, so that you can see that that's the other alternative that you can look at for when you're doing business in Ghana, that you can go to them for information, and they can answer all your questions about what it is, what the requirements are for doing business in Ghana. Typically, when you're not a citizen, it can be more expensive, the investment that they ask. But when you can partner with a local Ghanaian to reduce that investment burden. So yeah, so those are a couple of things that you can do. So back to the comments section. Sorry, I'm starting to feel tired now, because I'm like, I should be sleeping. It's 12:51 a.m. I came out here to do a live. I'm like, who told me to come and do a live at midnight? Okay, let me go back to the comments section and hear from all of you. Tim Black says, I believe Ghana will become very successful if they keep control of their resources and stop the brain drain. Yes, a lot of the brilliant minds leave and go somewhere else, give their talents to build up other nations. Gary uses African Americans to venture into serious businesses in the mining industry. And then Sankofa says, people give up early. That's the problem they're having in Ghana. I lost over 500 trees, but I replanted and kept trying, and now they're almost mature. You have to know not to give up. Yeah, people do give up. And the thing is, what I find interesting is sometimes the reasons that their business may have failed has nothing to do with Ghana. Think about that. Sometimes the business failed and it has nothing to do with Ghana. And that could have happened in any country because there are so many people around the world who start businesses and the businesses fail within the first 2 to 5 years. And so it's not always about the country. Sometimes it's about the product. Sometimes it's about how it's marketed. Sometimes it's bad timing, you know? So yeah, sometimes you got to look at those things. It's not always the country, but then people will blame the country. So when things go bad, they'll be like, oh, it's Ghana. I hate Ghana. It's Ghana. It's Ghana. But it might not be. It might be you. It might be you who has failed at planning properly for your business, because businesses fail everywhere in the world. I know so many people who started businesses in the US and their businesses failed in a year or two. Same with in Canada. You just never know what can happen. Thank you so much, Sankofa, for your support. Nothing is going to be perfect. You have to do your research in whatever it is and make peace with yourself that it will be sent back. Excuse me. Thank you. I really appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. As you can see, if you want to support the channel, you can always tap the super chat, super thanks button on the bottom right of the live chat. You can also support through Zelle if you use Zelle, if you prefer to use Zelle. I do have Zelle account. You can do it through my email, which is info@ibprosper.com. I'll put that in the chat group, in the live chat. So yeah, plan when it comes to doing business in Ghana. It's very, very important that you do that. So here's my Zelle on the screen. If you want to support through Zelle, if you use Zelle, you can also support through PayPal. The PayPal link, I'll put it into the video description after. Let me see if I can find where I can get the. Oh, I'll do that later. I'll add that link later for the PayPal, or maybe I should try to find it. Let me try to find it on my laptop. Since I'm doing the live from my laptop. No, I'm doing my live. So I discovered, for those of you who may do live streams and whatnot, or you do Zoom calls, maybe you don't know this, but I just, I recently discovered that I could use my phone to attach to the laptop to get a better picture than the webcam on the laptop, because the webcam on the laptops are usually not that great. They're usually not that great. So I downloaded an app where I could connect my phone to the laptop. I mean, I'm digressing now. I'm just saying this for anybody who may be interested in live streaming, and you might want to use it, use that app to stream. Okay, so let me go back to the comments. Let me go back to the comment section. And Kofi says, thank you all for your donation. Thank you, Kofi. Keep your donations coming. Thank you. Emilia says, Ghana has a lot of scammers and no rule of law. Okay, so let's address this one. It's something that I hear a lot. People will say that everything's a scam in Ghana, or that there's a lot of scammers. There are scammers everywhere. I think, and for those of you who come to Ghana, you may not know, they call some scammers, they'll call them Yahoo boys. I've heard Sakawa boys. I've heard that term. But we're hearing a lot more about fraudulent activities through, cyber things. So like digital crime or digital fraudsters is happening, where in Ghana we have mobile money. So mobile money is a way to transfer funds to your phone. In the US, you do Cash App. So mobile money, and there's people who scam people to try to get money out of their mobile money wallets. So that happens often. And then people who come from the diaspora often talk about land scams that happen. And that is something that is true. It does happen. But I want the diaspora to know that it's not only you, it's not targeted only at you, because it's been happening to Ghanaians themselves for decades. You have greedy people who will sell land and then they'll sell it to someone else and someone else. Next thing you know, you find out that multiple people have been sold the same piece of land. Now, the way that you can avoid getting caught up in stuff like that is connecting with the Lands Commission to find out who actually owns the land. Because what happens is people trust and then they don't check and vet who actually owns the land. And then next thing you know, they're caught up in a bad situation because it turns out the person who sold them the land didn't really own the land. And so now they're stuck having already paid this person, and then the person didn't even own the land. So that kind of stuff can happen too. People often complain about being overcharged for things when they go to the market because it is an informal society. So this happens in a lot of developing countries, not only in Ghana. It happens in a lot of developing countries where they can see who the foreigners are and they decide to overcharge the foreigners. When I was in Cuba, they had a different price for people from Cuba than they did for the foreigners. I know somebody who lived in Mexico who said the same thing. They'll have different prices for foreigners versus the locals. People I know from Pakistan said the same thing. People I know from India have said the same thing. When you have these informal market type societies where you're haggling for prices, there's not stuff written. That's when you face these kinds of situations where they just assume you might have more money. And it's not just the diaspora it happens to. It happens to Ghanaians. If they think you live in East Legon, if they think you live in cantonments, if they think you live in Trisaco, or even when you pull up to a stand at the market and you're sitting in an SUV, versus if you got out of a trotro, or if you got off of a motorbike, or if you got out of a car, these people will look at what you came in and assess you and think you have money based on the type of vehicle you came out of. Or if you were walking, they think you have less money if you're walking. So they make all these assessments, so somebody could be a Ghanaian born and bred through and through, but because they showed up in an SUV, that person selling that mango is going to decide to give them a higher price. Unfortunate, but true. It happens. So it's all about learning to adjust to the society you're in. And that means adjusting and figuring out how to haggle for the right price and not let yourself get taken advantage of. One of the things I used to do, the thing is, I know one of the languages, so sometimes I can overhear them when they want to overcharge me and I'm able to nip it in the butt. But I don't know all the languages. I only know one. So what I do sometimes is I'll just wait until someone else starts asking the price. So like if you're a foreigner and you walk up to a stand and then you wait for a Ghanaian to come and ask the price, now you've heard the price. If they said it's 10 cities, now you know they can't be charging you more than 10 cities because they've just told that local person that price. So, but if you opened your mouth first, they might have told you 20. So that's a tip. If you want to just kind of hover around and wait and listen to what they're charging other people, it gives you an idea of what something is actually supposed to cost. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, please do drop them in the comments. Zongo Native says, Ivy, in Ghana, internet scammers are all game boys and fraud boys. Sakawa is more of money rituals. Okay, thank you for telling me that. Thank you for telling me that. But I haven't heard the Game Boys. I heard the Yahoo Boys. Maybe they changed it to Game Boys. I'm so old school. Yahoo Boys. You know why they said Yahoo Boys? For those of you who don't know, because somebody said Yahoo Boys is more like Nigerian lingo. Is it? I've heard people say that here. But thank you for telling me that. But I've heard people say that here in Ghana. So Yahoo came from the fact that the website yahoo.com in the early days, because people were going online, they would call them Yahoo, saying Yahoo, Yahoo. But people don't really use Yahoo as much anymore. Now it's Google. Google took over. Jones 21215 says, what is the government doing about this though? Are you talking about the scamming? I think that's what you're asking me about. I saw an announcement that the president made recently talking about combating online stuff, online scammers, and excuse me. I'm trying to remember now because I know I saw something. Let me Google it and see if I can see. But I know I saw something where Mahama said he was going to combat scams in Ghana. But I think it may have been geared more towards the mobile money that I was referring to earlier. And yeah, because the mobile money hacking is a really serious issue in Ghana. And actually, as a matter of fact, the president's account got hacked. I think his Twitter account, well, it's called X now. His account got hacked earlier this year, and they managed to get it back. But I know that they are really trying to target the online scamming, because that's what's been on the rise lately. But I don't know specific details about what is happening and what they're doing. So unfortunately, I don't have specific details as to what they're doing about that. How do I feel about what's going on in the Sahel? Which specifically? I think that what Burkina Faso's president is doing some really good work for their people. I think that there's a lot that's happening there that's developing, and it's an example of how an African country can take back all of their resources, take back their power, and to be able to do the things to progress their own people. I think that that's really good, and I hope to see that kind of thing spreading more across the continent, because we do need more people who are more leadership, who are willing to, stand up and just really focus on doing the things necessary for their people. I think that that's really important. So that's what I think about it. That's my general thoughts about it. Tim Bless says, I'm thinking about retiring to Africa, not trying to start a business. Any advice for retirees? Well, when you're a retiree, because there's a lot of people who are retirees coming to Ghana. And then also I met a lot of people who are like military retirees also. And for you, as long as you have an income that you can live off of, you'll be fine. Because I know of people who've said that their retirement money is like a 6-figure income, some people. And those people are like they're very comfortable. So I don't know what your situation is, but I think it's a good idea. It's advisable to find out if you can get some insurance, some international insurance, or find insurance here. I'm actually trying to find a company here to work on some packages or something that I could offer to some of my audience, because one of the things that you will need is to get insurance if you have any health issues or health challenges, or if you just want to be prepared just in case. Having insurance so that when you go to the hospital, you're able to have things, covered, things that you need done. Also, if you're coming to retire, it's a good idea to make sure you apply for your residency under the right of abode, getting your Ghana card, and working your way towards, getting citizenship through the time that you're living in the country. Because things are more expensive when you're not a citizen. You can do a lot of things when you are a resident, but things can be more expensive when you're not a citizen. And that's the case anywhere in the world. It's not just Ghana. So, for example, if you had to go to the hospital and you needed a treatment for something, they actually have a different price for Ghanaians than they do for foreigners. This is not exclusive to Ghana, so I don't want anybody to come in the comments and say, why are they overcharging foreigners for the same kind of medical care? Canada is an example I'll give. In Canada, they will charge a foreigner a lot of money when they're coming to get treatment in Canada. Whereas the Canadians, their tax dollars are paying for their health, so they're not paying when they're going to get treatment or whatever it may be. So it's important that you have insurance, because if you have insurance, it'll definitely help you if you had any kind of medical emergency and you needed help covering your medical expenses as a retiree. I'm saying that because I know as we get older, we have more health ailments that can present themselves. Not everybody, but it can present themselves as you get older. And I also advise that you try to live somewhere that you have access to, where the health facilities are that can support whatever your needs are, making sure that you're not coming and have a lot of debt, because some people come to Ghana and they still have a lot of debt back in the countries they came from. So to service debt while trying to live here can also be a hindrance to you, especially if you're coming to retire, because you're not coming to work and you want to just relax and live out your life, just enjoying yourself and being at peace. So it's good that if you have any debts, that you've cleared those debts before you decide to make the move. In Ghana, people have a high level of respect for elders. So as a retiree, you are an elder, and you would have people who would treat you as such. So that's something that you would experience as an elder in Ghana. And so that's the advice that I have, is making sure that, and if you have medications, because some people, as I said, as you get older, people get things like high blood pressure and different things. If you have specific medications, try to make sure if your medications are available in Ghana, because most medications are, but on the occasion, there are certain things that are not available here and very difficult to access. So, for example, I knew somebody who she had some medicine for her diabetes was very serious, and she had some, I don't know what the medication was. And when she came to Ghana, she discovered that she couldn't find that medicine anywhere. And so she just ended up having to leave. So check to make sure if the medications you're taking are available here, because that could also be a challenge if you're somebody who takes medications, to just make sure that that's covered. I hope that helps. I did a video, it was a long time ago. It's a long time ago. It was like 2020. I did a video on retirees in Ghana. Let me see if I can find it and put the link into the comment section. I actually want to do an updated one because things have changed. It was a very short video, and I may have said all the things I said in the video right now. But I think it will be good for people to watch that if you're a retiree and you're thinking about coming to Ghana. Tibla says, I'm thinking about retiring too in Africa, not trying to start a business. I think I shared this on the screen earlier. So let me see if I can share that video so that you can see. I'm going to do a share screen. See, when I do my lives, I do everything. I don't have somebody who is a moderator supporting. I'm doing everything myself. So just give me a moment while I share the screen. So here's the screen. of the video that I did on retiring in Ghana. So if you want to watch that video, feel free to watch that video. I'll put it in the comments. I'll put the link in the comment section. Let me see. I'll put the link in the comment section so that you can tap it and then maybe bookmark it for later. Bookmark it for later. And I think I'm going to do a new one. I think I should do a new one because this was done. What year was this? This was 4 years ago that I did that video. So yeah, I think I'll do an update. But I put the YouTube link in the comments so you can check that out. Wow, looking at myself from 4 years ago. It's so interesting when I look back at old videos sometimes. Question from Amelia. Why are the prices of homes so expensive? Well, good question. The homes in Ghana, that a lot of them have been pricing in US dollars. The government actually just made an announcement that they're going to crack down on people pricing in US dollars and start telling people to price it in Ghana cities. It will be, I mean, there'll still be high numbers. So something that is like $100,000 will now be quoted at 1 million Ghana cedis. So the reason why a lot of the properties and homes get to be so expensive is because so much of this stuff is imported. And that has a large part to do with what people want. So people come and they want a property and they look at some of the fixtures, different things, and they don't like it. They prefer something from Italy. Like they want Italian countertops. They'll want, doors from Spain. They'll want, something from the UK. And so all of these things now, the builders are like, well, this is what people want. So this is what we have to give them. So now when people are building, they actually are importing a lot of this stuff. They're importing the sink. They're importing the toilets. They're importing the doors, the windows, like whatever it may be. There's a lot of things that are being imported. And so when they're imported, they're actually imported at a foreign price. So if I'm a Ghanaian business and I want to buy toilets, and then you're like, people want the toilets from, I don't know, Spain. I'm just throwing this out there. So now you as a business, you're going to buy toilets in bulk in Spain. You're going to be buying those toilets. Oftentimes things are pegged at the US dollar, but sometimes it'll be pegged at the euro. So you're going to be paying foreign currency for these toilets to come. Then you're paying a duty at the border, at the port. And so all of that gets factored into your price. And so what ends up happening is you end up raising your prices of your properties because you have so much stuff that's imported. All those costs have now been included in your price. And so you're like, you can't lose money. So you have to include it in your price. And they want to include the profit because they need to make a profit. So all of that gets added in and gets passed on to the consumer. So that's why some of the homes are so expensive. And also, if you choose to be in Greater Accra, it's going to be crazy expensive because you can get properties that are like $50,000, $60,000 if they are built in a smaller town, smaller community. Because that's the other thing is the land is so expensive in Accra as well. You got ground rent, property taxes. So yeah, I hope that I helped to explain it. Zongo Native, Ivy, what are some of the success stories of diasporans who chose to live in Ghana? How are they able to achieve their success and stay contrary to those who leave after coming? Thanks for your questions, Zongo Native. I had mentioned earlier, oh, my earring just fell off. I had mentioned earlier in my live the reasons people stay. And I gave examples like I talked about Dawn Dixon, who came to Ghana, but she's an example of somebody who had capital to come to Ghana and Rwanda and be able to start a business. And for her, she said she'd always wanted to live in Africa. And so it's it's a goal that you have in mind. So when they have a purpose, they are able to stay, because when you have a purpose, you always remind yourself of what your why is. What is your why? Why did you move? If you moved on emotion, that emotion will fade and the desire to stay will fade. But if you move with a purpose, you always have that purpose to hold on to keep you going, right? So people who have a purpose, people who are resilient, people who are flexible and can adapt to cultural differences, cultural norms, they are also people who are able to stay and succeed. People who plan what it is they want to do tied to your purpose are also the people who stay. So an example that I gave was I just mentioned Dawn. For her, it's been a shorter time. She's been here a couple of years. Another one is the manager of Starbites, the owner of Starbites Restaurant. Starbites Restaurant is a restaurant in Ghana. If you've never been, they are a chain of restaurants that are started off with one, and I think they have. I can't remember how many locations they have, but they have several locations in Ghana now, and they started off with just one. And so I know they have had their challenges as well, but persevered with a long-term vision. So he has a vision of going international with his restaurant. And so when you have a vision of something, you are able to stick to the goal and keep going. And if you're a person who, you got to read a lot of business books to understand that business also doesn't happen overnight. And also, most businesses usually fail within the first 2 to 5 years. So if you know that, and you know the things that you should do to try to persevere through it, once you get through it, usually you pass that hump, and then you find that you start slowly getting your profits. Being willing to build community also helps people to stay. When you are willing to build community, it means you build a support system around you by meeting people, by networking with people. You're able to stay, because sometimes when people say they want to leave, sometimes the people who they become friends with, they're like, why do you want to leave? Don't leave, stay. And a lot of times when you tell people what you may be going through, sometimes people can be quite supportive. Maybe they might not have the money, but maybe they will. And they can talk to you. People can help you through conversations to help you get through some of the challenging moments that you have. Deja views Jerk Hut. I was trying to remember the Jamaican food truck. She moved to Ghana in 2019, and she has faced so many challenges with her business. It's a food truck that she started, and serving Jamaican food, and she faced so many hurdles that also were the type of things that you may want to quit. But she was like, no, she has a vision, she has a purpose. And so she had to keep going. And so it goes back to the whole purpose. So from 2019 to now, she's still here. There was a point she was closed, because one of the things in Ghana is if you have a food truck, you have to get like permission to park in front of someone's property. And sometimes they want you to pay. And so she had a challenge where her truck was parked somewhere, and then those people now wanted her to pay more money. So it's like, now she was like, okay, she has to find a place that she can park and not have any issues. So she was not operating for a while. And imagine you've got this truck, you've redone the whole inside, you've prepared it to do your business, and then now you're stuck because you're trying to find a place that you can park it with permissions and not too expensive that it takes so much from your bottom line. But she persevered because she knew this was a vision that she had. And now she's still operating. She's in front of a place called Jambo Spaces, where she's parked her truck to serve her food. So she's found her place now. And so that's another example of somebody who came and stayed. She came in 2019. We're in 2025, and she's still here. She is still here, and she's persevering. She's pushing through and doing what she needs to do to grow her business. Another example is Diallo Sumbri. He moved to Ghana, and he's been able to cultivate a community. He's been able to He's working on building a community center because he was able to build a sense of community with the people in Yamebetre. So that's the other thing, is when it goes back to what I was saying about building a community and having people who are a support system that you can always lean on whenever you have any challenges, because they can always help you to get through that hump of what you're trying to get through. And there's a lot of success stories that are not publicized, because I know people personally, um, they don't like to be public. They're not online on social media. They have businesses that people don't know it's their business, and they don't want people to know it's their business. They prefer to move in silence. So there are success stories that I know of personally, but I can't really talk about what the business is because that person themselves chooses not to talk about it publicly. They don't want everybody to know it's them. So they prefer to keep it quiet. So it's not my responsibility to out them that they own a particular business or a particular company. But there are success stories of people who have stayed and they've become successful, but they're just not telling the whole world what they've done. I know some people who started a school in Ghana, and the school has been operational for 20 years, 20 years. So they came before this whole rush of the diaspora coming. They came before that, and they've been able to successfully build their business. And I believe that that's how it is that you have to know that you're in it for the long haul, which I said earlier in the live stream. When you know you're in it for the long haul, you're able to stick it out and keep going and not quitting so easily. I think one of the reasons too why people quit and go is not just necessarily the frustration of Ghana. I think a lot of people are used to what life is like in America, North America, in the West, or in Europe. Most of the people who leave are usually, what I've noticed, what I've observed, usually are people from North America. But one of the things I think is people are used to safety nets, and Ghana doesn't have a safety net. For example, I had somebody who had sent me a message a few years ago asking if they could move to Ghana and use food stamps. And I'm like, food stamps? They don't even use food stamps in the rest of the world. That's a very American thing. I know it's America. It's food. They have food stamps, and I think they also call it I think it's called the EBT card now or something. But that person wanted to come and know if there was a system of welfare and social assistance that was in place, and I was like, no. And if there was, there's locals here in poverty who would use it before a person coming from America. There is not that type of system here, although there is one man who has recently launched a food bank, and the food bank is being set up in some of the most marginalized communities. This is a historic first in Ghana. It was just announced a few days ago. It's not something that Ghana has ever had, a food bank. And there's no welfare / social assistance system. There's no unemployment system like how in Canada and the US, if you get laid off your job, you can apply for unemployment insurance and they help you out for a while you're looking for work. That doesn't exist here. It doesn't exist here. And then the other thing is a lot of places here don't take cards. They don't take credit. There's a lot of places that it's cash, mobile money, because some of them don't even have a machine for you to use your card. So there's people who are used to credit cards. They're used to paying for things on credit cards, and there's not a lot of places in Ghana that take credit cards. There are some. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but there's a lot of places that do not. And so if you're coming from a lifestyle where you are used to always swiping your card, and you come here, you don't have a safety net to say, I'll buy now, pay later. You got to pay cash up front for a lot of things. So that's the other thing that makes it really challenging for people, and then they leave. So I think that there's some comforts in knowing that you have a backup system to work on or to work with that helps support you in some of those challenging times. So I think that's one of the things. Yeah. Are businesses required to post the price for the items on the individual item? That I believe will reduce the overpricing. They're not required when you're in the informal economy. So in Ghana, we have the informal economy, and the informal economy is where it's not like where you have the stores with the price tags on it. It's that type of economy in the market. People are in the market, they're selling. Um, you know, uh, it's an informal economy. Most of the economy is operating under the informal economy. So that's how it is, unfortunately. The places that you find prices on the items are at the mall. When you go to Accra Mall, West Hills Mall, ANC Mall, like when you go to those formalized, structured places, and then there's a lot of plazas, like there's a lot of plazas around now too. Formalized places like that are where the prices are usually listed on the items. But the informal, at the market, someone who's at the fishing harbor selling their fish, someone who's a hawker on the street selling inside on the roads, they're running and selling. Um, all of those are part of the informal economy, and they do not have prices set, and they're not necessarily required to um, put it on the items. And the imposing of extra prices is not just on the diaspora. I was explaining that earlier. I don't know if you were here earlier when I was saying it, that it happens to a lot of people regardless if you're in the diaspora or not. So it can happen to Ghanaians. There was somebody who told me they came from northern Ghana, and the people were like, oh, they can tell the person's not from Accra, so they know they don't know the prices in Accra, and they gave them a wrong price because they were like, they could tell the person wasn't from Accra, and the person wasn't. The person was from the northern part of Ghana, from Tamale. And so they were trying to overprice the person because they knew the person wasn't from Accra. So it could happen to anyone. And then I had mentioned earlier that they assess you as well. So like, for example, if you show up in a car, if you show up in an SUV, if you show up in a car, or if you show up on a bike, or if you're walking, or you're in a taxi, or the trotro, depending on what you arrive in and they see you, they assess you already on how much money they think you might have, because they think, oh, you're in the SUV, you must have money. Oh, you're in, a trotro, then maybe you just have the average money. So that happens too. I have noticed. So whenever I would go to the market, I remember I started doing this back in 2012. When I would go to the market, I would wear some of my worst clothes. I would dress, I would dress down and wear my flip flops, or in Ghana they call them chalawate. I would wear my flip flops, go to the market, and just look a hot mess, or just like look less like done up than I usually am, so that I get a lower price. Go figure. So yeah. Okay, let's back to the comment section. What about diaspora experts? For example, a nurse practitioner having difficulty to practice in Ghana because they're having difficulty to place a nurse practitioner with doctorate degree. The biggest challenge with coming to Ghana as a doctor or as a nurse is that you're not going to be paid the same as what they normally pay you where you came from. So a lot of people don't like that, which is why a lot of people will start their own practice. Because when you start your own practice, that's where you make more money. So if you come and start your own practice, then you can make more money as a doctor or as a nurse. But the nurses get paid terribly in Ghana, terribly. When you think about how much work they do, they get paid terribly. So if you're going to do that industry, it's really from your passion and from your heart that you want to help the society. Or you're starting your own medical practice where you're charging and you're making more because you own the facility. I hope that helps. Comments. In America, I paid the highest tuition fees as an international student compared to American citizens. Yes, that part. International students pay ridiculous amounts of money for the same education that a local person will pay. So that's a perfect example of somebody being paid, charged more as being international than someone who's local. And that's formalized. That's not even an informal thing. That's formalized. That is formalized. It does not make sense coming to live a lesser life than you did abroad. You will need to address things like getting constant water and light, even if you're not living on the, yeah. So if you, yeah, it's true. There's going to be challenges with water and with electricity, and in some communities more than others. Some places it doesn't happen often, and some places it happens often. So it all depends on where you end up living. My electricity, we used to have power outages a lot, but lately I have not really had power outages often at all. And the water is one that I get issues with sometimes. They'll turn off the pipes, which is why it's usually recommended that people have what they call a poly tank. And the poly tank is it's like a big storage tank where it stores water. So when the Ghana Water corporation turns the water off, you have that as your backup. Or you have a borehole, because some people dig boreholes to get water. So yeah, you definitely, it's a trade-off. And sometimes people trade things off that they feel are worth the trade-off depending on what lifestyle they want. So like, if you work for international companies, you can make a lot of money in Ghana if you're recruited. So for example, if you're recruited, if you're living in the US and you're thinking about Ghana, and let's say you work in oil and gas or something, and you start researching oil and gas companies that may be in Ghana. And if you find one that's multinational, they have offices in other parts of the world, that's a good one for you to reach out to about opportunities, because then now it's a situation of you're coming from abroad and they may see your skill set. Maybe they want you, and then they would recruit you. And in that case, they usually pay you in your foreign currency. And sometimes they even support you by helping to rent your place for you. Because sometimes some of these companies have a lot of properties that they've rented out, and it's strictly for staff. Because I know there was a company that rented a whole bunch of apartments in an expensive area in Accra, and it was just for their workers. Their workers would just come, and that's where they would sleep while they're on contract before they go back to their home countries or whatever. So it's good to get recruited from a company before you come, because you have negotiating power to get paid more and paid in your foreign currency. I know somebody who was making over $16,000 a month working for a multinational company. I'm not going to name the company because I don't want to name the person, but for a multinational company has offices all over the world. And so this person was in charge of the West Africa division. So it comes with a lot of responsibility. So the person was responsible for their offices in different parts of West Africa, as well as their office in Ghana. So high-level positions like that are the ones that if you get it in Ghana, you can be paid very well. So it's very important that you keep that in mind too, based on your skill set, to know what it is that you can do and for how much you make. And so because of the lower salaries on average, this is a large part of why people come and they start businesses, because they realize that their businesses can make more money than if they work for someone. Winston Ellison says, it's important to me to live a better life in Ghana than in the UK. So I ensure that I have constant water, electricity, solar. These are basics, and you can get very frustrated without them. You certainly can. I understand how the leases work for land purchases. Is it the same for condos? I like the high rises in the city. So when you're buying, if you buy an apartment or buy a condo, you're not actually buying the land, because the land actually is owned by the property developer. So you're buying the condo / apartment. So that becomes what you buy, is that. They don't do leases on that because it's not land. It's not land, from my understanding. It's the property itself that you're actually buying, not the land around it. The land belongs to the property developer who has leased land to build their uh, apartments. So it's very important that you get a real estate attorney to help you navigate some of these things. I am not an attorney, so I do not say that I'm giving you legal advice. I give you information based on what I know, but I think it's important that you seek legal counsel, a real estate lawyer in Ghana, and find out all the intricacies of some of the detailed questions, because everybody's on a case-by-case basis that certain things will be different. Let us go to the next question. Homes in Ghana are not expensive all over Ghana. Yes, I did mention that if you go outside of Accra, that you can get things less expensive. Call your friends and family everywhere in the world when Ivy Prosper goes live. Thank you. And homes are cheaper in Bolgatanga and Bongo, and those are the northern parts of Ghana, Upper East Ghana. Yes, it's a lot cheaper out there. Definitely a lot cheaper out there. But you have to prepare. What are you going to do when you go there? What kind of work are you going to be doing? What kind of business? You definitely could get into agriculture there. You could get into tourism if you do tourism. So there's not as much going on there as there is in other places, but there's the potential if you're willing to start from the grassroots. Okay, next comment. Inika says, I live in Trinidad and Tobago. We all have water tanks and flashlights at home in case water or electricity outages. Yeah, our people in the Caribbean are the ones who I find survive Ghana easier than people coming from the US, from Canada, the UK. And it's because our Caribbean brothers and sisters experience a lot of the same things we experience in Ghana. And so when they come here, it's not as much of a shock. For example, Kivoy Burton, who I've interviewed on my channel before, he moved from Jamaica to Ghana in 2020. And he talks about the similarities of Jamaica and Ghana all the time. So he said some of the things were not shocking to him. So it was easier for him to adjust than for some of his counterparts who come from the US. So thank you for sharing that. What do you do for a living in Ghana? I create content. So I do YouTube, and I do some consulting with people who are looking to move to Ghana. I also have done consulting on film. So they call it a film fixer or a film producer, documentary mostly, that I've done work with here in Ghana. I wrote a book about moving to Ghana. So that book sells on Amazon. It's called Your Essential Guide on Moving to Ghana. Before this, I was working for the government. I used to work for Ghana Tourism Authority. I was the social media manager for their Year of Return and their Beyond the Return campaigns, inviting the diaspora to come to Ghana. I did that for 5.5 years. I resigned from that position at the end of October last year so that I can pursue my own, doing my own content on my own, because I was spending all my time doing content for them. And so now I'm doing content for myself and promoting on my own platforms. So that's what I do now, is that. And I'm currently working on developing a beauty product that I hope to launch soon. I've been wanting to launch this for a while, but I've had some things holding me back. So I hope that I'm going to be able to launch that before the end of this year, 2025. So that's the answer to that question as to what I do here. Thank you for asking. Ivy, I grew up in Cape Town, Eastern Region, Ghana, and we have rarely had issues with water and electricity. We had polytank, so we had rarely water issues. In Accra, it's not the same nationwide. So for those of you watching, Cape Town is Koforidua. It is the capital city of the eastern region of Ghana. I think it's about a 2 hour drive out of Accra, 2.5 hour drive out of Accra. And that city is also known for their beads. They have a beads market for those who like jewelry and beads. They have a beads market that you can check out. I actually did a video in their beads market a few years ago. I think it was 2019. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna find that video. Gonna find that video and share it with you. The beads market in Kofodia. So every Thursday, I believe it is, they have this beads market, and it's like all these like vendors who, they make beads, um, they sell beads. And so like culturally in the eastern region, there's some people called the Krobo. There's a Krobo ethnic group, and the beads are really, really huge for them as part of their culture. But I mean, beads are worn all around Ghana. Don't get me wrong. But for them, it's like, it's huge. For them, it's huge. It's huge. It's huge. So I'm going to share the link for that video in the chat if you wanted to see. I was talking about it, the beads market. I'll also share it on the screen. The beads market in Kofodia that I went to some years ago. This was actually in 2019, but I didn't post the video until I think 2020. Of course, I'm having network issues, so it's not showing. It's not playing. I'm having connection issues. I hope you can see and hear me too, because I'm having connection issues now. I'm having connection issues, so I hope you can see me. If you can see me and you can hear me, please drop it in the comments that you can hear me, because it looks like I'm having some network challenges. Okay, good. You can hear me. So yeah, so this was the video that I did in Kofodia. Let me fast forward a bit. In Kofodia, and I'm only showing you this because I want you to see that the beads market that I'm talking about, because he mentioned that he grew up there, and I think that it's important that we get to know about other other cities in Ghana and other regions and some of the things that happen there, because sometimes we're so focused on Accra that we miss out on seeing some of the other things that are happening in Ghana. So this is a lady who's making the beads. I was just talking to her about who showed her how to make these beaded necklaces and bracelets that people wear during ceremonies. And yeah, so yeah, I feel like I need to go back. I need to go back there again and do a video, because it's like as time passed and I've been living here, so many things about my experiences have impacted how I think about things and how I see things differently, how I authentically want to, tell stories differently, than maybe I did back then. I'm just fast forwarding to another section of the video so you can see. But I see someone in the comments that they remember that video. Thank you. You remember that video. Thank you so much.
I've seen some in the Krobo areas where they're like 200 cities. What makes the difference between something that's 200 cities and the one that's 25 cities?
The 200 ones are the real beads.
The real beads.
From the ground.
From the ground.
I'm going to raise the volume so y'all can hear what she's saying. For those of you who've not seen this video, I wanted to just show a clip of it. Oh, I'm having network. Here we go. Oh, this was
this one.
This one.
Was such a nice day.
So you can feel that it's heavier even. And this one, yes, this one you can feel the weight. Yeah.
So this one is
Okay, so let me go back to the
350
This is
comments.
350 cities.
I'll go back to the
This one is
comments.
350.
This is 250.
Go back to the comments. So I have a question I see here from someone. Can you create a bank account remotely from the USA? Let's say Ghana Commercial Bank. You can open an account remotely if you are already a Ghanaian citizen. If you're already a Ghanaian citizen, you can open a bank account remotely. I believe it's who is it? It's either Fidelity or GCB, one of the two. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but there's some banks that have Fidelity account. I mean, that have Diaspora accounts, but for most of them, you cannot open it up remotely unless you're already a Ghanaian citizen. So if you're not a Ghanaian citizen, you actually need to be in the country, get a non-citizen Ghana card, which is a form of ID in Ghana, before you can even try to open up a bank account. So yeah, if you're not a Ghanaian citizen, you cannot open a bank account remotely from the US. I hope that answers your question. I hope that answers your question. So yeah, so I'm actually working on an ebook at the moment that I'm going to be sharing some information. I have my book for a long time about moving to Ghana, but now I've got an ebook that I'm working on, and hopefully I'll be able to finish that before the end of this week and be able to share more information and different detailed information. And that ebook actually has links to the different banks that have diaspora accounts, so that when you do come in Ghana, you're able to know who actually does diaspora accounts. Zongo Nita says, Ivy, I think you're very good and professional PR for Ghana, especially connecting with diasporans. The Ghanaian government should be working with you. Thank you. I used to work for the government, but I left. I resigned. But thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes. So my ebook, as I said, is going to be coming out soon. I will likely share that link for my ebook when I complete it. It'll be when you create posts, because I can create posts on the YouTube channel. I don't know if some of you have seen that sometimes I post pictures, I post, different things that are not videos necessarily. We creators, we can have a community by posting some of the things there so that we can stay connected with you. So I will likely share the link to my ebook in that section. So hopefully some of you will get the book and learn a little bit more, get a little bit more details. So I hope that it's useful for some people out there. Kofi says, my brother Chuck, in effect, is coming to Ghana in December. Fantastic. I hope that he has a great time. So everyone, thank you so much for everybody who's been here. I've been on now for an hour and a half. It is almost 2 o'clock in the morning in Ghana, and I'm starting to get tired. I need to go to sleep. I have a busy day tomorrow. I need my rest. I'm starting to feel like I'm getting a headache, so I need to sleep. I want to thank every one of you for being here on this live. Thank you so much. Just one last question I see here saying, I want which banks to use when they come to Ghana. So if you want to use your card, your debit card or your Visa card or something, find an ATM machine that has the Visa on it. But I usually find the best ones that are most reliable for ATMs are ABSA. I'll just put it in the comment section. You should just put it in the comment section. So that you know what I'm talking about. So ABSA bank. So I'm going to type the bank names here in the screen that usually you don't have any issues because sometimes I know people will come and they'll put their card in a machine and the machine either eats their card or no money comes out. And then when no money comes out, but it says that money came out, and then now you're in the limbo phase and the banks here don't always work as fast, and it could take like longer amount of time to resolve the issue, and then you're leaving the country or something. But there's certain banks that I have had positive experiences with, that I usually tell people just use these machines, because these machines are the ones that if you have an issue, they actually will resolve the issue very quickly when you're coming with a foreign bank card. So these are the banks that I trust for using my card in the machine in Ghana. These are the banks that I trust, that I've not had issues with. There's also one more that I've not had issues with. That's UBA. UBA I've not had issues with also. So UBA Bank, and then and these ones that I've not had issues with withdrawing funds from the ATM. One time UBA Bank, I withdrew funds and it said that the money came out of my account, but it didn't actually come out of my account. I took a picture of the machine, called the number, and within 24 hours, the issue was actually resolved. That was UBA Bank. So these are the ones that I've not had issues with. So this is just from my personal experiences. I hope that helps. Okay, so I am going to slowly wrap up. I am tired. It's almost 2:00 in the morning. So I want to thank everybody who's been here throughout the live. I've been here for an hour and a half. Kofi says, thank you very much, Ivy. We love you and keep up the great work you're doing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Because honestly, sometimes I feel like I should quit. Should I quit? Should I quit YouTube? Should I quit YouTube? Because it's not easy. It is not easy. I'm telling you, it's not easy. Nia says, thank you. Have a good night. Many blessings. Thank you too, Nia. I really appreciate you. Kofi says, we hope you do more live streaming in the future. Thank you. I'm slowly working on it. I'm going to be doing live streams also together with Joe from Authentic African. We're going to do a couple of live streams together as well coming in the future. Thank you for all your information. You're welcome. I appreciate you. Zongo says, what about Ghana Commercial Bank? Actually, Ghana Commercial Bank is one that I know people have said that they've not had issues with. Yeah, but one issue that somebody I know had was that he took money out and the machine said money came out, but it took a long time for them to resolve it. They did resolve it, but it took for him, it took 90 days to resolve his issue. So that's one you can. I just know my friend, it took longer to resolve the issue he had. So, but yeah, you can use GCB. Yes, you can use GCB. Yes, you can use it. You're in Olympia. Oh, some people are chatting with each other who are in the same place. Ivy, don't quit. Thank you. African daughter. Thank you, Ivy. Yes, we do love and appreciate you. Rest well, peace, and Black empowerment family. Thank you so much. And on that note, I am going to wrap because I am tired and I need to sleep. It is 5 minutes to 2, 1:55 a.m. and I need to sleep because I got a busy day. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, share the video, watch other content on the channel. If you feel so inclined, you can make a donation by tapping the super thanks button on the bottom, super thanks or super chat, or you can send a donation directly using Zelle. If you use Zelle, my Zelle is info@ivyprosper.com. I just put it into the chat if you want to do Zelle. I also have a PayPal link. My throat is really bothering me right now. I also have a PayPal link that you can donate through. I put that in the chat as well. So I really appreciate you. I really want to start doing more. I would like to do some travel, but that takes funds that are lacking right now. So hopefully I'll be able to in the future do some traveling. I especially want to start. I want to go to Benin again and do like a proper deep dive into that country, especially since now all these celebrities are now going there to go and do their citizenship ceremonies. People like Sierra, Spike Lee, who I spoke about recently, and then Lauryn Hill is there now. Apparently, word is she's going to do her citizenship in Benin, and then Bob Marley's family is in Senegal, fulfilling a wish of Bob Marley that he had before he died. So it's like everybody is like, all these people are coming to the continent of Africa. So I definitely need to do some more moving around and see more and share more with all of you. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I keep saying I'm going, but this time I really gotta go. I really, 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 really gotta go. I'm tired. Look at me. I'm going out of frame. I'm tired. So thank you. Love, peace, blessings.